Everyone. Thank you, Maha, for the recording. It's great to have you with us today for the webinar on US-Israel collaboration in space technology. My name is Omer Carmel. I'm Director of Business Development at the Byrd Foundation. And we support US-Israel collaborations, and I'll be the moderator of this webinar. We are actually thrilled to have an amazing lineup of speakers and topics, and it's actually incredible to see more than 120 different organizations taking part in this webinar. And we were pleasantly surprised by the overwhelming response. So it looks like the webinar might go beyond a little bit the planned 1 hour duration. So hopefully you can keep with us. But if not, if you have to leave after 1 hour, so we definitely understand that, and we'll ensure that everyone will receive the recording of the webinar. We encourage you to actually engage with us and use the chat box to raise any question or thoughts you have. We'll definitely collect all these questions and we'll respond to all of them following the webinar. Special thanks to all the contributors to this webinar, and especially to the panelists. And we hope that this session will be valuable for everyone. I see that the recording is on, so we are good to go. So without further ado, let's jump straight to the subject and begin with the welcoming words from the representatives of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the Embassy of Israel. Ms. Jennifer Meal, the Vice President, Middle East, Central Asia, Turkey, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And following that, Mr. Yoav Zeidel, the Minister of Economic and Trade Affairs at the Embassy of Israel. Guys, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you so much, Omer, for your opening remarks and introduction. And a big thank you to the Byrd Foundation for the partnership with U.S. Chamber of Commerce and our U.S.-Israel Business Council, and especially today's webinar on U.S.-Israel collaborations in space technology. I would like to thank all the other partners for today's event, including the Embassy of Israel, Virginia Israel Advisory Board, Starburst, Cassiope Space Systems, NASA, Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, and also ISA. Really looking forward to the insightful presentations today. And as the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's U.S.-Israel Business Council, we are made up of the top U.S. investors in Israel and Israeli investors in the U.S. Our chair is Chevron, our vice chair is Teva Pharmaceuticals. So we're deeply invested in this relationship and the $50 billion bilateral trade and investment annually that happens. We see the space technology sector in particular as a huge area of opportunity, and one that we see the U.S. and Israel remaining at the vanguard of innovation in this field. We'd love to continue partnering with Byrd to ensure that there's more grant opportunities for U.S. companies to partner with Israeli companies to deliver these new innovations. We see spaces in the headlines every day, and we think that there is really boundless potential for U.S. and Israeli firms to contribute to those innovations. So thank you, Omer. Thanks, everyone. Look forward to today's discussion, and I'll turn it back to Omer and to Yoav.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Omer. So yeah, my name is Yoav Zeidel. I just assumed the position of the head of the Economic and Trade Mission here at the Israeli Embassy in the United States. Also here with us today is a team member of mine, Josh Cohen, who also is working with me. So really, thank you for all the organizers. As mentioned here, this is a very exciting sector. We're very excited to work on and promote together with all the partners here. So thanks again for Byrd and the additional partners that Jennifer already mentioned. So just a little bit about us at the Trade Mission here at the Embassy. So we work to foster collaborations between US and Israeli companies, different types of collaboration, trade, investments, but also R&D. And on the R&D angle, we're very much aligned and collaborate with Byrd and also additional partners to create the right matchmaking. We also work individually with the Israeli companies to help them with matchmaking in the US and vice versa. So that's it. Thanks again, and back to you, Omer.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Yoav and Jennifer. Our next speakers are Mr. Dov Hoch, the Executive Director of the Virginia-Israel Advisory Board, and Mr. Asher Katz, the Director of International Business Investment at the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority. And they will be speaking about the Virginia space ecosystem. So let me just upload the deck that they will need.
That's fine. Omer, I can kick off without the first slide. That's fine. You can use just the video of me before we get to that first slide. Thanks, everybody, and thank you, Omer. This webinar was the genesis of Omer having cultivated 3 strong bird grants that were issued earlier this year, and then ultimately been in Virginia. And when you have time and you're face-to-face and you're not on these webinars, things like this percolate, and the genesis was just that. And I'm glad it came to fruition in such a robust format. Thank you, Omer, for that. So let me just speak to 2 silos of information. One is specifically the Virginia space tech ecosystem, and then another one is appropriate for everyone here, where we built a platform to find collaborative partners in specific space tech. And on this platform, we have over 1,000 U.S. space-related companies and organizations, and north of 100 Israeli ones. So I'll speak to that in just a sec, but in the context of Virginia, I'll speak to the space tech ecosystem, and consequently the other speakers will pick that up also. First off, tangential and all the value chains associated with the space tech ecosystem. Virginia has 4 of the 5 largest U.S. defense contractors have their headquarters in Virginia: Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics. And so if you're looking to plug into that value chain, it's the place to be, because everybody's in and around the federal ecosystem. On the Israeli side, we have the Israel Aerospace Industry has its U.S. headquarters in Virginia. And on the collaborative level, inclusive of space, Israel Aerospace Industry has just launched a business accelerator that is funding early stage space-related companies in Virginia. They're U.S. companies, and they're intended to partner and do their proof of concepts with Israel Aerospace Industries. And our colleague later on, Nomi Alil from Starburst, who runs that accelerator, will speak to that. So the broader ecosystem certainly embraces space within Virginia. Virginia specifically has a few things: a NASA facility in Langley, which is a research facility. And beyond that, if you're aware of Wallops Island, which is the Mid-Atlantic Space, the regional air launching center, there are 3, and ultimately there's going to be 4 launching facilities in a place called Wallops Island, which is owned by NASA in Virginia. I know Eliad Peretz from NASA is going to be down there next month for a launching. If you're aware of Rocket Lab, Firefly, Northrop Grumman, they all own property there, and that's where they launch their vehicles from. In a very modest sense, Tel Aviv University literally launched a nanosatellite from that facility not too long ago. So we have, in the defense and aerospace context, a broad supporting ecosystem. Me personally, I work for the Virginia government, and thank you for, you can put the slide, I appreciate that, Omer. I work for the Virginia government. Virginia is the only state in the United States that has a dedicated agency to do bilateral things with Israel, whether it's culture, education, but more specifically economic development and collaborative efforts. And so I'm a resource to anybody who wants to enter the U.S., find U.S. partners, specifically in Virginia. Do we have that slide up? Not sure we have it. Okay, so here's a really strong resource for everybody specific to the space tech and to kind of cultivate collaborations with bird partners. We've built here, and my colleague will share this on the chat, the links to this. We built an interactive mapping system that speaks to the U.S. space tech ecosystem. We have north of 1,000 U.S. space-related companies, initially segmented by state, and then ultimately by application or type technology. We also, the knowledge, if you see the map, the slide there, it's represented in several different data points, but ultimately you get the information and you can partner and find collaborative relationships on either side, Virginia or the US. And we'll share those links in the, I'm probably there now in the actual chat here. You're welcome. If you're not on these maps, we assume that we have everybody spoken to, but certainly if you are on the maps and you want to update your information, it's an ecosystem in that you can position yourself and be situated in multiple and positioned in multiple technologies, so you're relevant wherever you are. So it's an evergreen type of thing. It's always out there, changing, evolving, and new players are adding. So that's something that is just a base tool to be able to find each other, whether it's Israel or US specific companies. That's really it. Happy to be a resource for you folks in any way, shape, or form, and thanks for the opportunity, Omer.
Thanks, Dov. Asher, please.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me well. My name is Asher Koch. I'm the Assistant Director for the International Business Investment for Fairfax County Economic Development, our agency in charge of bringing companies' economic development to Northern Virginia to Fairfax County. We have a very active overseas program in several regions. We have a lot of companies from Israel, more than 400 international companies. What you can see on the screen is that's beautiful. We see a growing cluster of space and, of course, aerospace and defense, but space companies specifically in Northern Virginia, in Fairfax. The reason because decision makers from the government side, from NASA, and the infrastructure are in Northern Virginia. So this is just example, the Discovery space shuttle that flew 39 missions, started in '84. I think it did almost 150 million miles. The only shuttle that on display in the museum here in Chantilly, the Udvar Hazy Museum, which is very close to Dallas Airport. So this just reflects the pretty growing size of space company. We have about 130 aerospace and defense, about 70 of them in pure space. In addition to what Dov has mentioned, we have a lot of companies here that actually doing the launch, doing communication, doing ground station, doing a lot of areas that open for collaboration with not just Israeli companies, but any other companies, either American or global, that wants to come and be part of the ecosystem. The next slide, please. So this is just to show that in the last 2 years, we see a lot of momentum coming here to Northern Virginia. Since we are economic development, we're looking at the world from 3 perspectives. Company arrive, invest, create jobs, and take office space, and then, of course, bring technology. So you can see companies that arrive, this is just a sample, in the last few years, 2 years, they focus on V2X, to Quartos, to ENSCO, IAI, expanding, as we mentioned. We are very proud that the Aerospace Corporation announced a few months ago that they moved their headquarters from California to here, 600 jobs, almost 400 square feet office space. We also have other entities here. So it's a growing community here along all the way from the Pentagon to Dallas Airport, and then along Route 28. And what's bring them here is really the talent, the workforce. In addition to proximity to the agencies and the contract, the key is talent. We can see in the Northern Virginia area, we have 184,000 plus workforce in that space, in the defense and aerospace. This region is the number 3 in the US in terms of aerospace and employment. The key is 20,000 graduates every year are ready to go to the industry for what the industry needs. And we are very proud that Northern Virginia is the #1 region for veterans that moving to the industry. So overall, we have the infrastructure from data center to fiber optic, to the satellite down in Virginia, to the launching, to the cluster of companies here, and the proximity to where the contract are being rolled. But this is on my side. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And now I'm honored to ask Mr. Uri Oron, the Director General of the Israeli Space Agency, to share his insights and thoughts with us and with you, of course.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Omer. Thanks very much for the opportunity to you and Yaron and the Bird Foundation. I think it's a very, very important event in a very, very important time. I will elaborate in a couple of minutes about the Israeli Space Agency, but what I would like to start with is just to tell you that we believe in the Israeli Space Agency, that Israel sits on a window of opportunities to make space as an engine for growth, not just economical growth, but also for growth in many other areas. There is Dr. Eliad Peretz here, is very much involved in scientific endeavors as well. And we believe that there is a huge opportunity to make it as an engine for growth. Now, this opportunity is built upon two main factors. The first one is well known to this audience, which is what's happening in the world, actually in the world of space. US is leading that huge revolution, that what we tend to call the new space era. And that's well known. And we are talking about numbers of getting close to $1 trillion space market within a decade. And I believe that we're going to be there. That's a well-known fact. The second factor, which is very relevant to what we are discussing right now, is the Israeli factor, which is, I believe, a little bit less known. There's only 12 countries with independent capabilities in space. Israel is number 8. There is more than 60 satellites in space, in orbit, made in Israel. Some of them were launched from Israel. Some of them were launched from other places. But basically, you can ask any questions, except probably of human spaceflight. You can ask any question you want regarding to space in Hebrew. You will get the answer in Hebrew, and someone will tell you that he's already done it. And that's amazing. When you compare, when you add that to what we call the startup nation attitude, then you understand that if we are talking about a more than $1 trillion market with the right attitude, then we had an opportunity. And that brings me back to the role of the Israeli Space Agency. Yes, we are a government entity, and our role is to promote the interest of Israel in the field of space. And I can say, well, if you really look at the government protocol, it says in the field of civilian space. Personally, I believe that in Israel, that in the world today, everything is dual use, but let's keep it that way. But if we're asking ourselves, okay, so what are the interests? What are the goals? Our main goal is to build and to promote and to strengthen the Israeli space industry and to build it as a sustainable ecosystem. Now, this is exactly what we are doing here. The only way to do that is to bring more people to the field of space, to add the right attitude to the field of space, and to bring the talent to do things together. Now, there is close to 100 space companies in Israel. Number is sometimes surprising. Yeah, IAI is the biggest one, but you can have, and you can look at startups with 2 or 3 people doing things in space. And we have the talent, we have the right attitude. What we need to do is to do things together. The only way to do things in space is to do it together. And there is not a better place to do it with and to do it than to do it with the US. And the role of the government in that regard, and our role, is first of all to connect the dots. Now, it's connect the dots between entities, but it also need to be remember that we can connect the dots between clients. Personally, I believe that in most of the cases, government will probably going to be the first client in the field of space. They must not be the last client, but they could be the first client. And as a government entity, we have the role and we have the capability to connect those dots. So we can connect the dots. We can support startups and other companies. We build facilities, and we are doing all the things that need to be done by the government in order to meet or to close the gaps or the big gaps in the field of space. So let me conclude my opening remarks that I believe that we're sitting on a window of opportunities. What we need to do is to take those opportunities together, and we are more than willing to be part of it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. Interesting words. So now we are fortunate to welcome our next guest, Dr. Eliad Peretz. He is an esteemed Israeli researcher at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland. He will provide his perspectives on the trends and updates in this field. So please, Dr. Peretz.
Hey, thank you so much. Can you all hear me well?
Yep.
Yay, thank you. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show my slides. And you'll let me know if you can actually see them well as well.
Yeah, looks good.
Yay, thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. Very happy to be here today. Thank you so much for the Baird Foundation for inviting me to speak here today. I'll be talking about innovations and opportunities in the space sector. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Eliad Peretz. I'm both the Deputy Lead Scientist of the Heliophysics Strategic Technology Office at NASA headquarters, as well as the Mission and Instrument Scientist for the entire Heliophysics division here at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. And I'm happy to be here today. So what do I want to do in my short talk today? The first thing I want to tell you is I would not be able to cover everything I want to cover in my talk. So I do encourage you to reach out, talk to me through the different mediums, whether it be via email or LinkedIn or whatever you find most appropriate. If you feel like you have a question or a venue you would like to pursue that intersect with the interest of our agency. So I would be more than happy to help. Without further ado, I will say that the first thing I would like speakers to understand is more about what is NASA, what is our structure, and then from there I'll go to how to identify opportunities, and then I'll talk about how to actually make your first step as you're kind of coming into our system. So there are 4 major directorates at NASA, and typically when we talk about space, we tend to forget about, or we say aerospace, we tend to forget about aeronautics. But in fact, one of the largest directorates at NASA is the Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate. They're focusing on developing technologies that address the aerospace market in different ways, from electronic systems to mechanical systems to flight platforms. And that's a big part of what NASA is doing. So I do encourage you to explore that specific directorate at NASA. It always seems to me like when we talk about aerospace, it seems to be forgotten. And it does have a lot of activity happening within that field. So if you're an aerospace company, you might be interested in that as well. So that's the first directorate I would like to present. The second directorate is the one that typically gets more coverage and you hear more about, whether through the news or through different events that happen at specific times that we would not mention. And that directorate is the Human Exploration and Operations Directorate. They're mainly focused on human spaceflight, and some of the key signatures of that division include the Moon to Mars program, a name that is probably more, I would say, known in the general public is the Artemis program. But don't forget that Artemis is a part of Moon to Mars, and Moon to Mars is only a part of the Human Exploration and Mission Directorate portfolio. So it's a very large directorate as well that is focused on human spaceflight and exploration. The third directorate is the Space Technology Mission Directorate. It mainly focuses on developing technologies that have, let's say it, and horizon that comes with them. And what I mean by that is those are technologies that take 5, 10, 15, 20 years to develop. We're looking into the future. We're trying to understand what are our needs, and we try to respond to them in a timely manner. This is not to say we do not, or they do not fund directly shorter period term technology development efforts, but it is kind of the directorate who looks into the future and trying to make sure that everything is ready for when time comes. The fourth directorate is the Science Mission Directorate. It mainly focuses on executing science missions, research, advancing human knowledge, answering some fundamental questions that we as humans have. So one example could be, are we alone in the universe? That's a part of the astrophysics mandate. If you're in the heliophysics division, you need to understand, or you're asking the question of what are the processes that drive the activity of the sun, as an example. For the Earth Science Division, you can think about global warming or other phenomena like human migration or ice movements in the polar caps, etc. And then finally, the Planetary Division that focuses on studying anything that is not the sun, not the Earth, but is in our solar system. So this is just, again, a first quick kind of roundup of the 4 major directorates that are NASA. There are other directorates. I'm not going to go into all of them now. But this should give you a feel or a flavor of who are the different stakeholders within the agency, the different directories that might have different needs. So that concludes the first part, I guess, of my presentation, kind of a short intro 101 into when we talk NASA, what is the structure? Who do we talk about? What are the directorates? What is the structure itself? The second part of my talk would focus on how to learn more about what we need. The first thing that always comes to my mind is when I see, for example, pitch decks from startup companies or just people who try to solve a problem that come to NASA and talk to us about, is this interesting or not interesting, is that they always, or not always, but most of the time, they start the conversation from, we understand the problem, let us show you the solution. And what we've been trying to do really well in the agency is to try to inform the brilliant minds across the nation and even outside the nation, is to focus on the things that we think are challenges for us. So imagine us kind of flipping the table and telling you, well, here is a list of my problems that need to be solved. It might be a better way to make sure that we advance in the direction we want to advance. This is not to say that we don't accept the other route of thinking, but this is in addition to change the perception that you need to come up with your own things. We do have needs that we've identified that needs to be addressed. So a good way to think about what NASA needs are could be, for example, to better understand how we look at technology, how do we categorize it, and what should that tell you about how to focus your interests in solving the problems that we've identified. So the first thing that I would like people who try to collaborate with the agency to do is to go to Techport, and I actually put the web link here at the bottom. Feel free to copy it if you want to, and just learn more about how we classify different space technologies. And you can see on the left that we have a taxonomy. So that's just our way of cataloging the different technologies or technology areas that we are focusing on. And you can see as an example that TX0.01 is for propulsion systems, 2 is for flight computing and avionics. And as you go down the list, you can see, for example, TX8 has sensors and instruments in it. And under that, you can see that I kind of open it, and there are different categories of sensors, and some of them are, so for TX 8.1 is remote sensing and instruments and sensors, and that tells you more about how do we look at remote sensing instruments when we want to develop them, and how do we divide them to electronics, to the optical components, to lasers, microwave, cryogenics, and those different elements that we focus on. So I think this is a good first read. for people who want to kind of come in touch with us or to develop our technology to better understand how we see things, how we see technology being developed, and how does it tie back to the different technology areas that we have in mind that we would like to push forward. The second thing that you can see is that some directorates, or I would say at different times, put forward a list or documents that describe their own internal, I guess, aggregation, collection of information and analysis that point out to the challenges that they face within their directorate and also across directorates. So here is a good example of a document that was just released on July 2024. Very happy to be helping to actually make this document become real by responding and working with STMD. So it's a really interesting document. I would say a first almost. It's a document that actually took an entire industry survey, FFRDC surveys, universities, NASA centers, NASA directorates, and compiled all that information to an integrated ranking list that points at what are the type of technologies that we think are at our shortfall ranking and where do they rank relative to others. And as you can see on the left, written down, STMD plans to use integrated rank list and annual updates as one of many factors to guide the technology development projects. And the reason you care about this is because if someone releases a solicitation, this document might become one of the documents that point out to how important it is to do what you're doing to the agency. So what you see in the middle is a link to the actual document, so you can read it in more details if you want to. And on the right, you can see the output of this report. I'll just go kind of very loosely through it. So you can see the integrated ranking. So for example, rank number 1 has an average integrated score of 8.1. The scale moves from 3 to 9, if I remember correctly. Don't catch me on the numbers. Please read the report. And what you'll see here is that the shortfall ID or the identification is 1618. I won't go into what that means, but you can read that it talks about surviving and operating through the lunar night, which has become a major challenge for many of the instruments and the operations and other elements of the Artemis program, and not only the Artemis program, that impact our ability to operate on the lunar South Pole. And the capability category on the right talks about thermal management systems, kind of pointing out to what we think the challenge is. It's not just power, it's not just other elements, it's mostly on the thermal regime. So you can see that list, and this document contained a very long integrated ranking list that have all those elements in it. And these are the type of documents that give you kind of a way to better have a feel as to what we think our challenges are. Of course, SMD, the Science Mission Directorate, have a similar mechanism in which they do that. The Human Exploration Directorate as well. So as those reports come out, I encourage you to read them to learn more about what the agency thinks it needs and to kind of switch the mode of thinking from I have a solution to a problem to let's identify a problem that needs to be solved, or at least consider it. So after we talked about how to identify those elements through different means, next thing you want to consider is in what way do I engage with the agency and compete on those solicitations that are going to come out. So let's say the agency has decided to solicit a proposal to do dual use technology development, right, somewhere. So if you look at my list, this is the Inspire system. This is the official NASA AO/solicitation system. If you don't have an account there and you're in the space business and you want to engage with NASA, I highly encourage you to register to the system, have your logging information, everything ready, come in, and just look and read through the different solicitations to learn more about what the agency is interested in developing and doing. Some of you might be interested in technological development. Some of you might be interested in research. Some of you would be interested in developing laser communication for other purposes, right? That the agency can utilize for its own missions, but you can use it for industry as an example. Some of them focus on developing, for example, systems that could better map the distribution of space debris around Earth. Like this really encompasses almost anything you can think of that has either a purely research orientation all the way to technology development and even some touches into industrial applications of those systems. So the way to look at this is to actually like open the, I would say, the website and open your account, go inside, learn more about what are the upcoming solicitations that the agency is focused on. Typically, if you only learned about something 30 days ago, that's not a good sign. Probably means you're not in the right place to compete for it. But you would like to identify those things in advance. Some of the missions are being identified 2 years, 4 years in advance. Yes, those are the timescales we're talking about. Some of them are not. Some of them are more like 90 days response or something like that. And what you need to know is that if you go into the solicitation title and actually click on it, it will open the entire description of the solicitation and give you more details about what is being asked from the solicitor to provide for those different purposes. You'll have the solicitation number that will tell you more about its programmatic location and more about what it does. You have a release date, a notice of intent date if one is needed, and then a proposal due date. So that allows you to plan in advance. And on the left, you have a selection menu for the default filters that helps you better understand what you're looking at. Are you looking at future solicitation, open solicitations? Maybe you want to learn from past solicitations and selections. That's actually one of the use cases that most people don't use in this type of system. So if you go to past and then you select the solicitation after selection, you can read who was selected and learn more about the priorities of the agencies in that way as well.
Dr. Peretz,
Yes.
sorry, the time is running very fast, and we have
1 more minute and I'm done.
some time constraints. So sorry for that, but yeah, try to be concise, please.
Yeah, I'll be done in 1 minute.
Thank you.
Another way to interact with us is through the SBIR and STTR programs. Those are programs that identify specific needs that the agency has on different fields, typically built out of 3 phases. Phase 1 is kind of basically saying, this is a good idea. Let's see what you can do in the next 6 months or 13 months, depends on whether you're STR or SBIR. Then phase 2 for a more meaningful 24 months, let's develop something. And then phase 3 to actually move into production. I put the link to the website. There are some dates that are now open for those solicitations. Please apply for those. I want to close my remarks with, we are not only interested in getting input, we also have output in the agency. So we have many patents that are being generated through the agencies, as well as having a software catalog. If you are interested in using a technology that was developed at NASA for your own purposes, that is also a possibility. So with that, I'll end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Peretz. Very comprehensive overview. We have to move forward quite swiftly now because we are running out of time. So our next speaker is Ms. Nomi Aliel, Managing Director of the Israeli Starburst Aerospace, leading aerospace and defense startup accelerator. Nomi, hopefully you are with us.
I'm right here.
Okay, great, thank you. So please, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Omer, and thank you everyone in the Bird Foundation for this opportunity. I'm very pleased to tell you about who we are, what we do. I know there's a lot of familiar faces. I've been interacting with most of the people on this panel, very closely with Asher Kotz and Dov Ock when they help us tremendously establish the AI Catalyst program, which I will say a bit more in a second, in Washington, D.C. And it's also an opportunity just to say thank you to all the Virginia board and all the people in Virginia that helped us through that. And obviously the Israeli Space Agency, who's helping us with Astra and always coming to our event. So a few words about us. So we are part of this company called Starburst, which is in a sense a consulting, an accelerator operator, and also an investor. And we focus exclusively in aerospace and defense. So that includes space tech, and that includes aviation and aerospace. We've been around for quite a while, for about 12 years. We started with only one branch, very humbly, 12 years ago in Paris. And then we grew very quickly to be a global innovator and leader in this sector. We're now present in 8 countries around the world. And I'm responsible, so me, Noemi, is responsible to manage the Israeli entity, which is part of Starburst Group. And we opened the Israeli entity about 5 years ago. The reason that we came here is that the Israeli country is also very much known across the world as a startup nation. Is an amazing innovation hub, and it's not, as a surprise that we came here. There's a lot of activities. It's a tremendous innovation ecosystem, but I also want to echo what Mr. Uri Oron said, which is if we want to grow this, we need to do it together. So I'm going to tell you how we're basically building ecosystem together and how we are able to use our global presence to essentially connect the dots and help our startup that we support get introduction, get fundraising supports, and get new contracts. Especially in space, which is even more challenging to do this alone. And most countries don't have big enough of a market to just be enough for a space startup, which is very risky as a default. And so we came to Israel 5 years ago. We started doing one program, which I don't think we see it in this background, but I'll fix it later. We have 3. We have Inosphere, which is essentially the AI Innovation Center, the first AI Innovation Center program, which is a program for internal innovation. So picture that you have amazing engineers, amazing talents, but it's really hard to do innovation within an organization because of a lot of bureaucratic bottlenecks. And the list is long, but then you come up with a methodology that actually works. And we've been doing this for 4 years, and we're now about to embark on our 5th year, where you can have something like 20 projects coming out every year, where you can go from an idea to an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, within 3 months. And with amazing results, because more than half are able to get first order, some kind of order from the Minister of Defense or whoever they want to sell it to. And so this is going well. And then 2 years ago, so in 2022, we said, how can we keep on adding value to AR clients, but also to the Israeli ecosystem? And we came up with Astra. And Astra is a second program, which essentially was there and created and designed to provide support to space tech startup and space tech researchers who, up until we came up in the scene, had absolutely no support. There was no dedicated accelerator when we did it 2 years ago. There was very few investors that even knew how to conduct a due diligence on a space startup. Very few investors was investing in this sector. And we saw it as an amazing opportunity to partner with an industry leader, because Israel Aerospace Industry, or IAI for short, is one of the 3 primes in Israel, and also one of the leaders in space ecosystem in Israel. And so we joined forces to basically provide that support. And I'm so, I would say, proud of what we've built. We are now in our 3rd year. We've accelerated 17 space tech startups. More than half successfully raised money, their first round. About 60% are able to get a pilot. About 1/3 are doing the pilot with IAI, which is the industry partner, which is also amazing stats. And Starburst is helping them basically go to all the markets that they can think of, if it's the US, if it's Europe, if it's Asia. Since we have a global presence, we can open the door for them everywhere. And we're also able to create synergies between portfolio companies and connect them both to corporates, which will give them the first contract, but also to government partners, especially if it's dual use technology. So that's what we do with Astra. And I'm also very proud that it's not just Israeli company. I know the theme today is Israeli US, but we're global. And so our program attracts companies from all over the world. So in our portfolio in Astra, we have half of them from abroad, India, Portugal, Poland, even Japan, and the other half are Israelis. I would love to have more US, but that has been more challenging in Astra, but that's why also we came up with Catalyst. So Catalyst is my third and last program I wanted to share with you today. And Catalyst is essentially very similar to Astra in its goal and its vision, but to do the same exclusively for US companies. So there was a program launched just this year with our first cohort, and we have a demo day event scheduled for in a few weeks where I'm going to meet again with Dov and Asher. If you guys feel the need to come to that event, which I'll tell you what Catalyst is in a minute, please do reach out after this webinar, and I'll be happy to extend you an invitation. We do want to connect you, and it's an amazing opportunity to meet you guys face to face. So we will be in Washington, D.C., second week of September.
Please, Naomi, try to shorten the last section, please.
Yes. So Catalyst is essentially a program specifically to help US startup do pilots with AI, but also to support them financially because there's a $100,000 investment and there's $100,000 worth of in-kind support that Starburst provide. So that's kind of all the program. And the last thing is the fund. For those of you who might be hearing this webinar that are startups that are looking to raise, Starburst do invest, or Starburst Ventures do invest first checks, so anywhere between $250K to $1 million. We typically look at amazing founders with attractive valuation and exclusively in aerospace and defense. So please do feel free to reach out to our Starburst Venture teams. One of the GPs in New York, but it's a US fund. And we're also about to launch the Israeli fund in a couple of months. So stay tuned. And again, thank you, Omer, and thank you, Dov and Asher.
Thank you. Thank you. Quite really super information for startups, especially want to raise money. So the next section is dedicated for the description of the support that we can provide to companies from both US and Israel, and my esteemed colleagues, Andrea Yona and Anat Ben Yosef, please.
Hello, everyone. Can everyone see the slide? This is Bird Foundation. Okay, great. So we've heard a lot about the space sector. Fascinating topic. But what is Bird? Why is this relevant to the conversation? And how can you leverage this program and the funding mechanism that Bird can provide? So for those of you who don't know, BIRD is an acronym, Binational Industrial Research and Development. It is a binational program owned by the two governments, the United States and Israel, with the overall objective since 1977 of supporting the joint development and commercialization of innovative technologies by funding projects between US and Israeli companies. This started from a endowment fund created back in the 70s and early 80s between the two governments, and up until today we fund our projects based on the interest of that endowment. How does it work? So a project is a US company working with an Israeli company, typically characterized by complementary technologies, integrations of one technology into the system, platform, or product of the other, or some type of a pilot. And BIRD is funding up to 50% of that, of the combined project budget between the two, and to a maximum today of $1.5 million, meaning that would be a project of about $3 million. Typically anywhere between budgets of joint of 1.5 to 3, of which BIRD is putting in up to 50% of that. What does that mean? There's a cost share requirement. So it's a dollar to dollar cost share on all eligible expenses of each company. So that's one part of the funding mechanism. The other is that there is a repayment obligation if and only if the project is successful, as defined by revenue specific to the project. This repayment is non-dilutive. It's capped. We are a government program after all. And any repayment that we do get back from a project goes to funding other projects above and beyond what our yearly budget allows. We have a board with government representatives from both sides. So you'll see we have our co-chair is the NIST out of the Department of Commerce, together with the State Department, Department of Treasury, similar ministries on the Israeli side, Ministry of Economy, Finance, and the Israel Innovation Authority. Obviously space is what we're talking about today, but we can fund projects in all industry sectors, with the exception of projects that are specific to military applications, which we don't fund. But other than that, you can see here in our pie chart, we're funding a lot of different things. Just pointing out, energy looks pretty big. But we have a separate program for that with some additional funding. Similarly, Homeland Security and Cybersecurity. With that, I am going to turn it over to my colleague from Texas, Anat Ben Yosef, and she's going to lead you through some other important aspects of BIRD. Anat.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Andy, for this. And thanks everyone who spoke. I know that a lot of people have been writing some questions at the Q&A. We're going to try to answer them all. If there are any open questions, still, we're going to reply after. And again, we're going to be sharing that recording as well. Back a little bit to BIRD. And really, we are trying to supply here with a platform to continue this collaboration in on a mutual ground. So as Andy mentioned, BIRD was established 44 years ago, and we have been backing up over 1,000, actually closer to 1,200 projects at this point. It means that we've invested almost $400 million in those projects, a lot of them yielding really impressive incomes and revenues. We're talking about over $10 billion in sales and even more. You can see that in the presentation. I think that just shows how we're making a real difference here in the US-Israel technological collaboration. We're driving innovation, we're driving growth in both countries. And really, you can also see the repayments that Andy mentioned earlier. They're part of how we share both the risk, but also the success. And those repayments are really going back to the fund and allowing us to reinvest in more and more and more projects. Next slide, maybe just to kind of underline what was said. What's the eligibility criteria? What does it take to get a BIRD funding? So first and foremost, we're not investing in companies, we're investing in projects. So this is pretty straightforward. A project is basically a US company and an Israeli company coming together on any kind of a joint R&D ventures. And we're looking for innovating products or processes that will really make a difference in the market, and of course to the greater good. We are talking about taxpayers' money here. So really both companies need to show that they have the potential to both handle their part of the project, but also turn it into a commercial success. This is very important for us. A lot of questions were a few questions were asked at the Q&A. So we are sector agnostic. It means that we're open to all sorts of projects from aerospace tech and IT that we're discussing today, but also healthcare, energy, food, water, quantum technologies, everything and anything. Let's see how we can find that collaboration. Next slide. So outside of the obvious financial support part of the BIRD grant, we also offer other advantages such as us providing the access to both US and Israeli markets. We have extensive networks in both markets. It's important. Our support really extends throughout the project's life cycle. So we offer technical and business assistance and support. We're involved from the inception all the way to this hopeful success. Another thing is really that the BIRD involvement is really a seal of approval, and we see it all throughout when you go in further steps to get additional investors or get sales and support and any kind of promotion, just getting that, thumbs up from Bird really helps with promoting and continuing to grow both financially and technologically, and that's important. And also remember that our unique model allows you for flexible repayment terms, and it is only tied to successful commercialization. So on the flip side, if you have inability to find commercial success, we share the risk as well. So the repayment commitment is not tied to that. Next slide shows our current call for proposals. We issue several calls for proposals each year. We have at least 2 what we call the general calls, but also sector specific ones. So there's always an opportunity to apply and to get this opportunity for funding. Just about the process itself, it's again pretty straightforward. It begins with an executive summary submission. It's a short kind of declaration of intent of both companies about the project itself, and only then after that initial submission will get you an approval to move forward for the full proposal, because we are trying to be very mindful for your time and resources. And then the full proposal is really a deeper proposal for and a request for the grant. Our evaluation process is thorough. We are considering technical innovation, commercial potential, and mostly also the synergy between the 2 companies. It's very important for us. The entire process itself, from the initial submission to final approval, typically will take about 3 to 4 months. So I think I feel like it's pretty straightforward. The evaluation process itself is evaluated on both sides of the ocean. So you would be evaluated by relevant professional stakeholders. In the US side, it's NIST, or Department of Energy, State Department, Homeland Security. It really depends on your project. And from the Israeli side, we're heavily involved, of course, with our stakeholders from the Israeli Innovation Authority, the chief scientist, and all the other stakeholders, depending on the project itself. And we're here, and I think maybe we can move to the next one. We're here to walk you through the process and really in the best way to kind of facilitate and support you throughout the process. As you can see here, that's a screenshot from our website. You can very welcome to go into our website and see examples of successful projects that we have in the past, and to give you an example and an idea. And we also help a lot with the matchmaking process itself. Last year alone, I think that we approved over 25 projects, and we spent, make the math, but about $20 million in grants, and maybe even more. And really, our role goes beyond the funding, the matchmaking. We really are working to help you succeed, because your success is our success.
Thanks.
Definitely. And kind of before we wrap up, because I know that we don't have a lot of time, let's move to the last slide, and you can see that we have a strong presence both in the US and in Israel. And feel free to reach out and continue the discussion as we move forward.
Thank you, Anat. Thank you, Andrea. So we are really out of time, but we still have plans to hear Mr. Don Richardson, the CEO of Cassiopeia Space Systems, and a Bird grantee, and he will share his journey in securing a grant for the Bird Foundation and tell us, hopefully concisely, how it led him to a successful partnership. Don, are you still with us? You're muted.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and I will be brief. But I was asked by the group to talk a little bit about my experience with the Bird Grant Foundation, how it went, was it fun, did I learn anything, all of these things. And I can say it was a great experience in summary, absolutely. We participated with the Bird Grant Program. My company, Melsat, a Virginia-based technology company serving primarily Department of Defense and U.S. Navy. partnered with the Israeli company Oversat, and we collaborated on a project we called Rigel. Now, Rigel is a Lundberg lens-based low Earth or LEO satellite tracker. It has the unique capability based on the Lundberg lens to be multi-band, multi-beam, supporting make before break technology, which is really important to support LEO communications. And we created together a company called Cassiopeia Space Systems to allow us to access the global market, set up distribution, manufacturing, and so on. And we brought in a company, Assured Space, the third leg of our trifecta partnership under Cassiopeia. Assured Space brings the unique Lundberg lens technology from the United States. So with the BIRD grant program between Oversat and Milsat and the technology from Assured Space, we designed and built a low-cost maritime antenna for use on specifically the OneWeb satellite LEO network. And as we evolve this technology, this will also work on many of the other LEO networks that are being deployed as we speak. So Cassiopeia Space Systems, we are successfully have built 2 prototypes. They're being tested and evaluated. One system is in Israel and the other one is here in the United States. We are testing these on satellites as we speak. We're working out the bugs. We're learning how to fix the problems that we have, and we're learning a lot. We expect production units, the first production unit, to be ready early 2025. And with all of the interest that this product is generating, we expect to be in full-blown manufacturing, probably in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We have headquartered Cassiopeia in Virginia. And we expect to have a manufacturing facility about the same time next year to start manufacturing for global distribution this Rigel antenna. And it's been quite a journey for us, to be sure. And you know, participating in the BIRD grant program has benefited my company Milsat greatly. I can also speak to the Oversat and the Assured Space team that this has been a great learning experience. Not only have we developed a new technology that's never been used in this way before, the Lundberg lens and the tracking platforms, you know, is creating an antenna system for a maritime community that will give them an affordable access to satellites around the world. And so specifically, how did it help my company? Well, I can tell you that with being taken by the hand by the BIRD group, they helped me understand how to better finance management protocols, systems, and accounting. That was a big step for me as a small company. I learned how to do the research and development process. We were a services company for the most part, an OEM completion center. We've never really done research and development before. So this was a huge step for us. And it improved my marketing skills as a company and expanded our international market access. So this has been a huge, huge benefit for our company. And I believe I can speak for the Oversat and Assured Space companies as well. This has been a huge thing for us. But I have to tell you, some of the most important things that have come out of this is the friendships that we've developed with the Israeli partners from BIRD, Oversat, and the communities that we're working with. It's been, this is going to be something that will last in my life. A continued collaboration for future projects. The spin-off technology that's coming out of this research and development project is amazing. And so not only are we developing a satellite terminal, as soon as we get this wrapped up and in the bag, we're going to move on to alternate PNT, which is an alternate GPS passive system that provides positioning, navigation, and timing. And we're also looking at spin-off technology that is passive radar. Object detection system, which has great implications in this market sector. So again, great project. We learned a lot. We're very, very proud to be participating in this program. Thank you very much. I'm available for questions if you want to get closer to the technology and what it is we're doing, be sure to reach out to me. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Don. Thank you so much. I mean, and we'll address all the questions that are written on the chat box later on following the webinar. So we are now moving to the roundtable session. It will be a quick one because we really ran out of time. And if you want, after the webinar, we can share all the information with all the webinar participants if you approve that. Now, during this session, each company will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, share the technology, and present an idea for collaboration, if they have any. And the company participating, I ask them not to share their slides because of the tight schedule that we are in at the moment. So we don't want to prolong this session too much. And we have the order of the presenters. We couldn't, of course, accommodate all the requests we had. So we had to choose just few companies. And the first one would be Astera. Jasmine Inbar, are you with us?
I'm here. Yes. Thank you
So
very much for this
please.
great opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll try to make it very short and precise.
Go ahead.
So Astera is an Israeli startup almost 10 years ago, was founded almost 10 years ago. We are today a leading Earth observation company specializing in SAR, synthetic aperture radar, L-band analytics. We are actually the only company worldwide that has managed to crack the L-band chaotic scene and provide its insights commercially. We are working in 65 countries worldwide, creating enormous impact by detecting the signature of water underground and saving water and energy. We have 4 offices globally. Our headquarters is based in Kfar Saba. This is where our R&D are at. We have an office in San Diego, California, in the UK, and in Japan. We are actually working in almost each and every state in the US. What makes the L-band so special comparing to other bands like X and C-band is penetration. It pierces forest, pavements, and asphalts, tree canopy, of course. And this together with its the electric sensitivity allow us to detect water leakages as well as to differentiate between different types of water, and also to provide a very precise soil moisture map as we are measuring the actual moisture and assist many infrastructure owners globally. We are very much a commercial company, but we are also providing some defense applications. For example, the same soil moisture map that is being provided to infrastructure owners is being provided to military purposes for maneuverability, to make more efficient the maneuverability process, as well as to assist with landing zones.
We need to move forward.
Yeah, so I'm almost done. And of course, detecting things under trees is something that is very, very interesting. We are encouraging cooperation. We would be happy to, work together. That's us. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Meld Printworks, Nancy Hardwick, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Hardwick, CEO of Meld Printworks and Meld Manufacturing Corporation. At Meld Printworks, we print big metal parts fast. Sorry, I don't have the opportunity to show you some pictures, but if you Google, you'll find some really big metal parts made by the Meld technology. These parts are best to replace forged components, and the Meld technology was specifically designed to be able to print in aerospace grade alloys. So Ti-64, aluminum 7000 series, 2000 series, magnesium, copper. These are materials that we can replace your forgings with and get them to you with the lead time of additive manufacturing. We are participating in a BIRD project now with IAI for the qualification of flight critical components made in titanium and aluminum for civil aircraft. And I look forward to meeting everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you so much. Creation Space, Roy Naor, with us? Okay, if not, let's move forward. Helios Matters, בת-חן הרשקוביץ, Ben Simon. Okay, ImageSat, Dave Springer. Dave? Probably this is too late for them. So VTech Textile, Thomas Santelli.
Hello, yeah, I'm Thomas Santelli. I'm the Business Development Manager at V Technical Textiles. Here we specialize in the sales and distribution of conductive textiles, as well as materials, fasteners, and notions. We also specialize in the prototype of cut and sew of those textiles into finished products, such as RF and EMI shielded enclosures of all different shapes and sizes. We can do radome covers, antenna arrays, and things like that as well. Our enclosures are used in aerospace for various EMC purposes, such as pre-compliance testing. We save projects a lot of time sending the satellites or the space flight hardware to and from the chambers test houses. They average up to 95 dB attenuation from 30 megahertz to 18 gigahertz and up to 70 dB at 40 gigahertz. And we're constantly seeking to increase that performance through our R&D capability. One example of that, NASA's JPL facility, we had an enclosure they needed for testing of the Mars rover. And so we developed a clean room coating so that we could deploy it right in the clean room. And we're also exploring other coatings to advance the conductivity as well as the durability of those textiles. What sets us apart are metallized textiles. It's a unique metallization process. It's chemically rooted right to a nylon. And yeah, we're based in upstate New York. And we've had a lot of past performance with large companies like NASA, Lockheed Martin, Airbus, Boeing, and ARC Technologies.
Great, thank you. So I understand somebody from ImageSat can actually participate. Yuval Siper? Are you with us, Yuval? No, we can't hear you. So let's move to Little Place Labs. Bosco Lai, please. Bosco? Okay.
Right. Can you hear me?
Oh, this is Bosco?
Yes.
Oh, great. Great to
Well,
hear
can
you
you see
again.
me? All right. All right. I know that we were in a rush. So my name is Bosco, co-founder and CEO of Little Place Labs, and we are changing the way how we generate space insights. Thanks again for the time. Very quickly. So there's been a lot of space activities over the recent years, and now we capture gigabytes and terabytes of data from space every single day. All this data has opened up to many useful, impactful use cases. But before we use this data and process it into useful insights, we first have to send that gigabytes and terabytes of data back to ground. Two problems. One is moving this amount of data from space to ground is extremely expensive, costing satellite operators hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And two, sending this amount of data is very, very slow, and users have to wait for hours or days to get their insights. And this simply does not work in time-sensitive situations. When you think about wildfire detection, maritime surveillance, banks and insurance companies actively monitoring the portfolio, and in defense, national security. These users need to know what's happening now, but not having to wait for hours and days to get their insights. And that's where we come in and change the game. We build software applications that can run on satellites. So direct process the data on the satellite, turn that into very precise but useful information, and send that information back down to ground. By doing that, we don't need to by default send every raw data, gigabytes and terabytes of data back to ground, and we can reduce the downlink by 98%. And instead of hours and days, we can deliver the insights to the users within 7 minutes. Our product has run in space, and we have a strong network of global partners. Would love to work with more Israeli companies for sure. We're also a contractor with the US Air Force providing some capabilities. So happy to connect. Please reach out, littleplacelabs.com, and my name is Bosco. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Bosco. So now we'll try again with ImageSat because I understand that Yuval is actually connected and can actually.
Yes.
Okay.
So, hi everyone. Thank you, Omer. I'm the CFO of ImageSat. We've been around since late 90s. We've been originated back then by IAI, and over time we have launched several satellites to space. We're a space intelligence company. We had one satellite launched in 2000, and then thereafter ARISB 2006, and we've launched our ARISC high resolution satellite in late 2022. We are listed on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. FIMI Fund is the controlling shareholder of the company. We have 3 lines of business. One is satellite services, the imagery that we provide, mainly to the defense sector, but also to commercial sector as well. Second line of business is AI and analytics. You might have seen the announcement that we had late July for a large contract in this space. It's basically the first significant contract worldwide in this subsector. And the third line of business is what we call infrastructure, practically new space. We have a set of new space satellites. One was already launched last year. We're participating in a very large program in Chile, where we're running the Chilean space program. So that is, in short, some of the things we do. We look for expansion, cooperation in various locations. Happy to meet with anyone out here in Israel and out there in the US. Thank you, Omar, for the time and opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, now we move to Momentic, Daniel Kashmir.
Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel, CEO, founder and CEO of Momentic. A little bit about us. Momentic is an emission intelligence company. We're active in the climate domain. Momentic uses satellites images and monitor emissions. We are providing identification and quantification as well, working with 3 different sectors. First is the energy sector, production company. Second is transmission and pipeline companies. And third is the financial market and insurance company. Over there, we are providing them crucial data for risk management. Basically, we are helping our clients in different areas. First, we are helping them to measure and to reduce emissions, GHG emissions, specifically or especially methane, natural gas. Second, we are helping our clients in the US and in Europe with compliance, because we are talking nowadays on regulated markets. Third, helping especially transmission and pipeline company to save money, improve safety in our customers, and again, helping with risk management to the financial market. And we are providing 2 kinds of services: pinpoint monitoring and large area monitoring. We created a system that working without any integration, so the fit is really fast, especially for the energy market. We are a software company, a multi-satellites company. We didn't build our own satellites. We are using open and research satellites and using our algorithm in order to provide the monitoring. We can work on large area monitoring. We have historical data where we can monitor offshore and onshore rigs. Today, we're focusing on our commercialization parts. The company raised money and keep raising money, but we're looking for strategic partners, especially in the US and Europe, that can combine and help us to commercialize our services.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. We need to move on, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Ramon Space, Freddy?
Hi, I'm Freddy Langer, VP Business Development and Sales at Ramon Space. Ramon Space is a 20 years old startup company, building a wide range of payloads and combination of payloads missions that can solve the challenges our customers are facing. We have offices in Israel, UK, and US. Our main hardware and software product lines are in the space data storage systems, in the edge computing and the AI systems, and in the communication and data routing systems. We also offer combinations of these products with a wide range of different sensors interfaces and wide range of space communication protocols. Our product comes with a very high quality space resiliency, Lego-like flexibility in building systems. We based on our existing software-defined products and that saves development cost. And we do use a new space approach in design, in cost, and in very modern manufacturing abilities. What we look for is a partner that brings a need in application where we can serve together him and his customers and solve the very interesting applications on our systems.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Freddy.
I practiced for 2 minutes. So, yeah.
No, that's fine. We move to Space Pharma now. Yossi Amin.
Yeah, hi. Hello, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Yossi, the founder and the CEO of Space Pharma. We are building a very delicate and miniaturized lab-oriented systems. Actually, we are moving liquids in space and transform those mainly to crystal, but not only. We have a organ on a chip development that can produce a variety of activity in space, like skincare, beauty, as well as the aggressive treatment of bacteria, mainly bacterial virulence. We are highly considering, actually we are active in space since 2017, having 2 satellites in space with our own laboratory in it, and another 8 missions to the ISS mainly. 3 of them were launched from Wallops, Virginia, and we are now in a very aggressive momentum to work with the National Science Foundation, the NSF, under the Regional Innovative Engine in the Mid-Atlantic Biotech and Space Manufacturing Coalitions, actually in Virginia. So this is a consortium that is going to be to provide a holistic solution from launch to service in orbit, carrying the best names in the United States. Recently, we've been recognized as a top provider for the EU for a variety of medicine production in space, and we are hoping to provide it to the market by end of 2026. Thank you for the opportunity. We are really keen to find strategic partners in USA, which you don't have yet, but it's our pleasure to serve and work together.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. I think that's actually adjourned the roundtable session. So thanks again for all the participants, and obviously special thank you to the speakers. I hope you found the session informative and inspiring, and obviously we'll be sending you a summary along with responses to the question you've raised. We wish you a lot of success and have a great day, and be in touch with us. Thank you.
Thank you.